So what's going on, everybody? My name is Eric. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I edited this photo for my recent photo set, I Want to Be Your Man. This photo set was it was birthed out of the want to create something that is similar to the creative direction that Ty the Creator has in his Golf Fleur, and just everything that he creates I feel like is very inspirational to me. So I wanted to create a photo set based off the song Peach Fuzz, and today I'm gonna be editing my favorite photo from that photo set. And let's just get into it. First thing I'm gonna do is put into that 4:5 ratio. I'm gonna pull it down a little bit, to get the neck out of that, but shows the characters. The first thing I'm gonna do besides that is go to the profile I use for this. Also, I usually do this at the end to tie it together, but since I'm showing you guys how I edit, I'm just gonna take it out to vintage 08. Now we see that the colors are a little bit faded. That's the profile for all the colors in the photo. Next thing we're going to do is that white balance. I like really yellowish, vintage type of photos, so my white balance and my tint is going to reflect that. Then we're going to get into some of the basic settings that I put into my photos. I don't really touch my exposure. Usually I try to shoot at my exposure. Then I'm gonna bring that contrast in, and what I'm doing now can kind of seem a little bit eerie to some photographers, but I'm gonna put those highlights all the way down, bring the shadows in, and put those whites down too. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring these back in when it comes to touching our curves, and just cleaning up the image as we go. So as we can see, we have a clean image. I would say, in my opinion, this is properly exposed, maybe a little underexposed in some spots, but we're going to go to our next steps, which is clarity. I wanted to emulate kind of film, so of course film photos aren't really so sharp, so I'm gonna bring that clarity down a little bit, and I'm also gonna go to haze. Well, it's called dehaze, and just bring some haze into that photo. So now we see start to coming together. Next thing we're gonna do is the saturation. I do like very saturated photos also. I know I just said I wanted to do film emulation, and a lot of film photos aren't a lot of saturation, but it's just what I like to do with my photos, and how I like to create my images. So we're gonna go to tone curves, and then again we're gonna bring those highlights up as we brought them down in beforehand. One thing with photo editing is that it's truly all situational. I mean, every photo is different, every lighting is different, so I just want to show you guys what I have done with this photo. Of course, like if you would take a photo, I mean, it wouldn't really come out the same. It's possible to. That's why people get presets, and you just edit off of whatever the preset is created to. But this is simply what I brought into this image. And I think one thing I want to point out before we go down to our color grading is how important curves really are to your image. You can't just do the first curve and call it a day, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've done that in some of my photos, but I feel like when you do go to the additional curves and you just change them around a little bit, it's gonna make your photos pop, and it's gonna make them different. So you see, as I'm going through it right now, these are basically what I've done to try to emulate film. But I think one other thing I'd probably say is the best thing about photography is trusting the process, and trusting, okay, this is how this image is looking, and this is how I want the image to look in the end. And it's just along with life, probably it's just trusting the process, and trusting whatever is happening. But like I said, everything is situational. There's sometimes I don't even have to touch my tone curves, and I just leave them how it is. And I know you might not be trusting the process, but we're going to get into it with the color grading and the color mixer. So color grading is very like I said, it's situational, of course, and they all matter to what you're trying to put into your image. And that's basically for this image. I wanted to basically get the tones right, get the colors right, try to look a little bit realistic. And I know me saying realistic at this stage in the image does sound a little crazy, but you know, it all depends on what you want out of that photo. This color grading is super important, especially to bring and, you know, not bring certain colors in and out of your image. So next we're going to move on to the saturation. And the thing with this, since I've already added saturation earlier in the image, I'm not going to add more saturation after, you know, so the color saturations are going to go down. Like if you bring it all the way up, it's gonna look very weird, cartoonish even. And when we bring the saturation down in these images, in this color mixer, we start to see the image start to bring it in, you know. Like I said, you know, it all is situational, and it's all about what you want to bring, you know, to the table for your photograph. As you see now, like I said, we're going through and we're making sure that all the colors look right, look nice. It all depends on what you're trying to give. So we're finishing up, and that is the saturation part for our color mixer. And then we're gonna go ahead and knock out the luminance. And for this, I mean, I didn't touch a lot. Honestly, didn't really touch a lot, but I mean, there are some reds in there, there are some yellows in there, but I think for sure I just minused and muted the reds, and then I went to the blues, and I wanted to push those blues out because they are not really seen in the image like that. So I did want to bring some of those blues out when it came to the end of this color mixer. Another tip is, if you wanted to just block off and go to a certain color you have, you could push that point color, and that's where you could get, you know, a different hue, saturation, and luminance. But that's the before and after for our color grading. So for more of the color grading for, I just touched the midtones for this. Surprisingly, I didn't touch anything else. Honestly, I don't know why. It's just how it happened. I touched the midtones. I added a little bit of teal into this certain image. I definitely could have played around with it more. It's probably one thing I probably regret, but that's just how it came out. And you know, the other thing I did with it, I added some blending to it, pushed it up to 100. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to touch the sharpening. I like sharp photos, so I put it up there. Honestly, there's not much I can really explain from that. I mean, it's just sharpening. The rest of these are, again, saturation. I have a little bit of nose in this. The rest of these are a little bit situational, so I wanted a little bit manual noise reduction to make it a little bit more softer. There's no color noise, so I'm going to turn that color noise down. Next thing I'm going to do my lens corrections, and I already have mine built in. I shot this on my Tamron 24, so now we see that the image is lighter due to me adding the lens correction. And of course, we wanted to emulate film, so we're gonna add grain into it. A lot of grain could, you know, really equal a bad image. But yeah, this is basically it. This is how I edited this photo for my photo set. The before and afters. It's crazy, honestly. It's crazy to look at this and be like, okay, yeah, I created this and I trusted the process. That is it. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe. Let's go create. Peace.